Today, on Thursday, April the 21st, 2016, the Queen of the United Kingdom and of the British Commonwealth of Nations, Elizabeth II, turns 90. She has ruled, or rather reigned, over Britain and the Commonwealth since February 1952. Her reign of over 64 years is the longest one in the history of British and even English and Scottish monarchies. She became queen rather suddenly as a result of the death of her father, George VI, in February 1952. Until George VI started to become clearly sicker as a result of arteriosclerosis in the late 1940s, she probably believed that she could remain as a princess without being the British Queen at least until the 1960s. And indeed, had it not been for the extramarital love affair of her uncle, who reigned briefly as the British King Edward VIII, she would not have been so close to the throne, the British throne. However, as it was, Edward VIII decided to abdicate instead of abandoning his idea of marrying a twice divorced American socialite, Wallis Simpson, both of whose husbands were still living, and back in the 1930s that meant that the Church of England refused to allow any of its pastors or even bishops to conduct the marriage ceremony, or then to marry in defiance of the British cabinet's opposition, as well as that of at least most British dominions and quite many British people, which would have thrown Britain into a constitutional crisis. So, in December 1936, Edward VIII decided to abdicate in favor of his brother, who became George VI. Under the normal course of things, George VI probably would never have even become the British king at all, because, after all, Edward VIII outlived him by some 20 years, dying only in June 1972, while George VI passed away already back in February 1952. Anyway, Elizabeth II has, despite the various scandals that have rocked the British royal family, involving, sadly, some of her children even, remained personally rather popular, and while there is a Republican movement in Britain, still most Britons, at least as a matter of tradition, favour the continuation of monarchy. Elizabeth II is unwilling to abdicate, even though, based on her advanced age, she could easily do that. In recent years, a few fellow monarchs of Europe have abdicated. In 2015, she surpassed the reign of her great-great-grandmother, Queen Victoria, to become the longest-reigning British monarch, and indeed the longest-reigning Queen Regnant, not Queen Consort, who was just the wife of a reigning king in world history. There have been silver, golden, and diamond jubilees of her reign celebrated in 1977, 2002 and 2012 in that order. Moments of sadness, in addition to the scandals involving some of her children, include, of course, the sudden death of her father, aged 56, and that greatly accelerated her accession to the British throne, the assassination of her husband, Prince Philip's uncle, Lord Mountbatten, in 1979, then the death as the result of a car accident in 1997 of her son Prince Charles's former wife Diana, and the deaths of her mother and sister in 2002. She is the titular head of the Church of England, commonly known as the Anglican Church, and of the Church of Scotland, commonly known as the Presbyterian Church in Britain.